Where you start is not where you finish. So keep that in mind. These quote-unquote street-level hustlers manage to leverage their situations up into the millions and now billions, right? So it's possible. So if you look at people like that, you see it's possible. Drivers Mate Podcast, back with another episode. Thank you for tuning in. I sincerely appreciate your time you spend with me, doing whatever it is you're doing while you listen or watch the show. I really appreciate it, right? And I always say, please like, subscribe and share, like every YouTuber says, but it really matters for small channels like mine, right? Being real people, keeping real people real, freedom of speech free, right? So today I got another reaction style video for you, as I usually do these times of day, right? And what happens in these videos is I pick a YouTube short at random, you get my initial reaction, then I give you an opinion if I have one to give. Also, check out my main channel at CNCCMI. Let's go.
Rocafella was always meant to be a brand, like a conglomerate that did movies, fashion, music, all those verticals I wanted to do. Right. But I just didn't know how to do it. Correct. Yeah. And I was always looking at Russell, so I don't know if Fat Farm was around.
That's Russell Simmons.
What year? This was like on John Street. Like, I don't even know what year. This is before we even put out records.
I remember John Street, yeah.
And Emery,
I went down there.
And it was fucked up because Emery invested. I talked to Emery, and Emery paid for all the, I was like, I need like 10 grand or whatever it is. And Emery paid for all the sewing machines. So I had a bunch of sewing machines in the office in John Street.
Alright, so that is Dame Dash, right? Many of you may not know who he is, and some of you probably do, right? If you're up on your entertainment culture, your rap history, and just general like music mogul stuff, right? You probably have heard the name Dame Dash. Now, quick brief story. Who is Dame Dash? Dame Dash is like a CEO, a manager, an executive that was part of the original Rocafella team and label, right? So Rocafella was like a label or print that was set up by Jay-Z, Biggs Burke and Dame Dash, right? So the three people that ran that company that essentially pushed and propelled Jay-Z to the success he has today, okay? So obviously I'm quite the musical fan, right, in some sense, right? I'm not fanatic, but I'm up on music business information, right, for my own personal edification. So a brief history about Rocafella. Rocafella is basically the outcome of what happens when three street guys or two street guys decide to fund a rapper that can't get a deal the normal way, right? So Jay-Z couldn't get signed the normal way like rappers usually do, right? He kept getting turned down. So because they had whatever business they had going on in the streets, dealing drugs, doing whatever they did, right? They already had their own finances at a young age, right? So we say everybody was just under 30 years old, right? Just for argument's sake. They already had their money and their ways of making money in the street. So logically, if they were going to get into the music business and decide to back Jay-Z financially, they would do so under the umbrella of building a company, right? Because that's the intelligent thing to do with your money at this point in time, right? If you want to clean up your money, I know it sounds bad, but even if, well, I'm pretty sure like people like hip hop and other people who were around that situation had legitimate finances, legitimate sources of income, right? And other businesses. But just for argument's sake, let's just say Rocafella was founded off of street money, right? Just for argument's sake, all right? It might not be true, it might be true. But based on the narrative that exists out there, we believe Rocafella was started off of street money, right? That's what we think. We don't know, right? But anyway, by them creating the brand or the company Rocafella, they were able to not only pay for their own instrumentals, pay for their own recording time, but actually publish their own music, right? Get it sent to record shops at the time, right? And radio stations and things of that nature, right? Do street promotions, do shows based off their own initiative, right? Their own entrepreneurship amongst them, right? So of course you've got about 4 or 5 different people putting in money to make this thing work. Now, of course, we know in history, Rocafella goes on to be a big, successful company in the early 2000s, right? And later on, it kind of, I don't know if it liquidates, but it kind of collapses, right? There's a whole documentary out there following Dame Dash, Biggs Burke, Jay-Z, Kanye West, all these people, Rihanna, all of these people come out of that camp, right? So you've got to understand that Rocafella has become Rock Nation, right? So it's a big thing, right? It's a very successful business idea. But from what Dame Dash was saying, right? Because I respect Dame Dash. I like Dame Dash because he's kind of blunt with it. He doesn't really give a like what you think. And if you go and watch some of the old documentaries, you see how he reacts with people, and you can see, yeah, you might not take kindly to this kind of person, right? Because they're no nonsense. They're gonna pressure you. They might even bully you and joke on you, right? Because they come from the street culture, right? So they're not approaching the business world from a very like coddled tactical place. It's more of a right, bam, money talks, business walks, let's get this done, right? And I don't want to hear no bullshit, you do or you don't, right? That's the kind of energy they gave off, right? From a perspective, right? Not necessarily the truth, because you might look at Jay-Z and say he's highly diplomatic, right? And there's a whole different set of things that come with that interaction and relationship between them on a personal level and what the public perceives, right? Because this is all opinion, not fact. So yeah, Rocafella and Dame Dash and Big Spurk and Jay-Z and hip hop and all these other people, right? They decided to branch out, right, in the early 2000s, and they got successful enough in music and in street and whatever stuff they did, and decided to start to make clothes. That's where you get the Rockaware brand, right? And at the time in the early 2000s, you had Rockaware, State Property, Fat Farm, Sean John, right? All Outcast brands, all these kinds of things, all these clothing brands that were associated with rappers and rap hip hop music, right? So they used, like we talked about in the Music Mafia video, they used the level of success and fame to then translate into other things, right? To leverage this fame and success into branding deals, right? Into sponsorship, into other things, right? And they also did early iterations of alcohol sponsors, right? This is pre-Ciroc. This is like your first kind of Armadale's, Ace of Spades, Doucette, all of that stuff comes out of that initial company's leveraging of their brand, right? And signing like licensing deals with alcohol companies. So yes, they were very entrepreneurial minded and very much entrenched in what it is you would call street culture and hip hop culture, right? So hats off to them from the start. Very, very inspirational story from the outside looking in. And there's a lot you can learn from them as a business and as music moguls of what to do and what not to do, right? If you care to care like that. But from a business aspect, yes, that is exactly what every young entrepreneur dreams about having, right? A shell company where we can take all of our ideas and all of our creativity and our friends and our family and our business associates, come under this one umbrella and do a variety of different businesses, right? So like an umbrella company. Ironically, when they started to make films, right, because obviously I watched a lot of Dame Dash's films as a kid because I appreciate the culture, right? So a little known fact, Rocafella and Dame Dash is what helped propel Kevin Hart to the success he had, right? Because they believed in him and he starred in some of their earlier films, right? I can't remember what it's called, maybe Paper Soldiers, something to that effect, right? But anyway, they used that experience and that business mindset to translate into other things. So Dame Dash particularly went more into movies and clothing, right? So he took that Rockaware thing and then he started Rachel Roy's thing, whatever it is. I still don't know what she makes or what she does, but I know because of Dame Dash, right? So there's that high-end spring off of fashion from there, and then there's the movies and the films, right? And of course, because they were trying to globalize at the time and like go more international, you get the British I think they're called SAS or diplomats, whatever they call themselves. No disrespect to you guys, I can't quite remember. I think it's SAS or something like that. But it's a British spin-off of the Rockefeller family, right? Just like you had Dipset, Cameron, and all those people, the diplomats. It's a spin-off of that, right? So that initial company or record label, right, had all these different sectors of artists, right? You got your Philadelphia people like Beanie Siegel, Freeway, and all those people. You got your New York people, then you got Kanye West, which is kind of his own anomaly, right? And then under Kanye West, you get helping John Legend, Alicia Keys, Common, and all these kinds of things were happening in the early 2000s, right? Lots of brilliant black people with amazing business acumen, right? Making shit happen, for lack of vocabulary. But anyway, back down to base. So what was Dame Dash saying? He's saying initially, back in the day, he tried to do the clothing thing first, like, so his first iteration of it, like he was just saying, he got someone to invest £10,000 into getting sewing machines. Now, of course, maybe they didn't do anything with it, but at that level of thinking, that's exactly how you should be thinking, right? You get past the point of just printing a vinyl logo on a t-shirt and saying it's worth X amount, and then you get into the manufacturing of the actual garment, right? Being able to sew things, sourcing your materials. This is essentially what most of the craziest, quote unquote craziest Kanye West interviews were about, right? At the beginning of Yeezy. And you see that same mindset of what Dame Dash and Rocafella were doing initially translate into how Kanye West built the empire that is Yeezy, right? It's the same strategy. We take this music, take this movement over here, and we cross-platform, we cross-pollinate and leverage this into other business ventures, right? So Kanye West would venture into clothing, right? And Rihanna would venture into makeup and clothing, right? It's the same strategy, right? Of leveraging fame and success and influence into business, right? So that is the point at a certain level in music business, unless you want to be dancing and singing for the rest of your days and essentially becoming a Bojangles, which nobody wants to do, right? If they're not educated in business or have the right people around them. So yes, Dame Dash started on that low level, but that low level of thinking translated into more things in the future, right? And it cross-platformed into him now split. Although Rocafella dissolved and they all went their different ways, him splitting off and doing things in clothing and in TV and etc. Jay-Z doing things in music and sports, and alcohol, beverages, branding, Tidal. All of these things spring from that initial umbrella entrepreneurial mindset, right? So let that be a lesson to you if you're paying attention and particularly care about business potentiality, right? How to make money, how to strategize, and how to broaden your horizon from where you start, right? Because where you start is not where you finish. So keep that in mind. These quote-unquote street-level hustlers manage to leverage their situations up into the millions and now billions, right? So it's possible. So if you look at people like that, you say it's possible. You obviously, although most of us move a certain way in life, you can't do it alone, right? They all had help along the way. And there's a variety of conspiracy theorists out there that say Illuminati, the Masons, whatever, right? Whatever you want to call it, have a part to play in that success. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. Who bloody cares? All that matters is that you take away the lessons from it and see that you shouldn't be pigeonholed to one thing, right? Don't let people do that to you. Use your creativity to the highest level. Leverage it once you create some kind of success, some kind of potential product or service. Yeah? So that's a great lesson to take away from Dame Dash's entrepreneurial grind set mind and attitude, right? Not only him, all of the Rocafella staff. And me as an individual, I thank you for the hours of entertainment all of you have given me, right? Inspiration, information that I've parasocially collected or accumulated by watching and learning, okay? And I'm sure there's millions of other people just like me right now, seeing this and saying, that is dope, look what's possible, right? But anyway, that's my 2 cents on that. You let me know what you think. Is there more to the story? Do you like Dame Dash? Do you not like Dame Dash? Because I'm not really digging into his personality and character as a whole. Couldn't care less, right? I take people for who they are and not for who they're portrayed to be, per se, right? So you let me know what you think. Do you know the history of Rocafella and how all of that came about and how it became a revelation and how we got all of these stars and programs and businesses? Or was this new information to you, right? I know most of my audience isn't particularly interested in music business stuff, and I understand that, but of course, due to my history, I have an interest in it, right? So yeah, and if you wonder why I'm so interested in these kind of things, you can go and check out my main channel. Is at CNCCMI, Clark & Co Creative Media Innovators, which is initially my first iteration of a Rocafella, right? So go and check it out if you care. But anyway, thank you for your time. I appreciate you watching. As always, I say, like, like, subscribe and share, because it helps me in the algorithm, and it helps other small content creators like me permeate the internet, keeping real people real, freedom of speech free. Don't forget, you can check me out on all social medias, and now you can sign up to the Patreon and get exclusive content and request content be made on your behalf, things you would like to discuss or have a conversation with me about, right? So you can do that at Patreon. You can also check out the seasons that YouTube doesn't have, right? So yeah, thank you for your time. Always enjoy you accompanying me, and your feedback and all of that is great stuff. Thank you for your time. Hope you have a lovely day. Driver's Mate Podcast. I'll see you later.